Previously on Podcast Without Pretense.
Geez, guys, just 2 episodes to go. Just 2.
I have been watching Rock and Roll Frankenstein so many times in preparation for our 150th episode, I almost forgot we had another episode to do.
By conference, they mean advertising.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Strickland.
I'm Aya Zakhtar.
And I'm Eric Sandine.
And together, we are your fate. Hey, Eric, how was F8?
It was... Yeah, I don't know. So conferences are weird. I don't know if you guys have gone to like trade like developer conferences ever.
I've been to Google I/O.
Yeah, so I've heard I/O is better, but F8 is like so high level that the takeaways from it are nothing. Like there wasn't much for me to actually like I went to a bunch of the talks and they were so high level that I'm like, well, yeah, but I want to actually implement this in code. And they're like, yeah, you can talk to the developers later about that. I'm like, oh, why am I here? I got a t-shirt. I got a Gear VR and a free phone, so that's pretty all right. But and the Gear VR is actually pretty fun. It's pretty awesome.
I've never gotten any free stuff from a conference ever. Like nothing of consequence. Oh, wait, I lie. There was a CES where I got a light bulb kit, a Wi-Fi enabled light bulb kit with LEDs. So my living room, I can turn the lights on and off from anywhere in the world using an app.
That's so exciting.
It's a lot of fun when you know your wife is at home and right. You can mess with her. Just slowly making the light level go dimmer and dimmer throughout the day.
Right. So they had, it's Facebook, so of course they had their giant Oculus booth in one of the halls. So like the second day, once I realized that none of the talks were worthwhile, I just went back to the Oculus booth and waited in line for an hour to play with an Oculus Rift again, which is awesome. And I got the Gear VR, which I've been playing with, and it's actually like the Gear VR is a nice like middle ground between like Google Cardboard and the Oculus Rift, right? So it's like nowhere near the Oculus, but since there's a little bit better sensors and the phone is made specifically to power it, you get some really cool experiences. Like I just bought the, did you guys see the, what is it? Don't Stop Talking or We'll Die game?
The bomb defusal game.
Right. So like I was really excited because I wanted to play that, and it looks kind of boring on a laptop. But I bought it for the Gear VR and set up a game night to play it next week, which looks like really cool. Because pretty much you get these manuals. The manual's like 23 pages long. So you should probably skim it beforehand. But yeah, having the bomb diffuser in VR while everybody else is just skimming through the manuals, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. That's like the most exciting thing about the F8 conference was getting that so that I could play a game. The Samsung VR it's pretty good. I mean, you can get it now for like, I think the S6 is like $250 refurbished plus the headset, so like $300. It's all right. Go ahead.
I was just going to tell Ayaz what Eric was talking about is a video game where you have 2 different components. You have a player who's wearing a VR headset and can see a bomb, and it has various modules on it, and each module has a different way of diffusing that part of the bomb, and it's dependent upon other elements that are on the bomb. Meanwhile, you have a bomb team that has the manual. So as the person who's diffusing it, you have to describe what the module looks like. The people with the manual have to find the corresponding directions in the manual for that module and talk you through the procedure of diffusing the bomb. And so it could be something like, I see a series of wires connected top to bottom, and the first thing you might hear is, does the bomb have any external batteries showing? And you have to turn the bomb around and look around. Or it might be like, does the serial number have a vowel in it? And you have to look at the serial number. and based upon your answers, then they know which solution to give you as they walk you through disarming the bomb. And you have a limited amount of time and a limited amount of wrong answers before the bomb explodes.
So if you want to have Eric's F8 experience, as he said, go buy a Gear VR and either borrow a phone or just get the S6 or higher, and it'll be fine.
Yep.
There you go. Or you could.
Pretty much.
This also sounds like a bit like a game of Guess Who. It's like, okay, does your bomb have a hat? No.
Right. Yeah. There's my favorite is the appendix on the back. The appendix on the back of the manual is an appendix that all nerds would get immediately, which is what kind of port is it? So it's just a listing of like different, like a serial port. Is it a 9-pin port? Is it a DVI port? That part was actually pretty fun.
The best is when you watch people who are not AV nerds or have any experience with that, and they're trying desperately to explain to someone else what it is they're looking at.
Right.
And there's some great videos online, some great Let's Plays of various people playing this, usually to hilarious results where they get increasingly mad at each other because like the person who's defusing the bomb perhaps is not describing the module well enough for the crew to figure out what's going on, and the crew are being terrible at explaining the right procedure to the person defusing the bomb.
But so did you guys? So like, I will go straight into a VR talk because I didn't finish the movie. But have you guys either played with like the Google Cardboards or the Oculus Rift or anything in between?
I've tried all three.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you?
The Rift?
Have you tried the Vive?
No, I haven't tried the Vive. I tried the Rift. I've tried Cardboard and the Gear VR, and Cardboard's good. You know, if you just want to like, it's almost a little viewfinder into somewhere else, like almost having like a periscope.
It's totally. Somewhere. It's an awesome way. I've used the Cardboard to like show people, like people are like, I don't really get VR. You like whip out the Cardboard and show them like a cool video, and they're like, okay, I get VR now. That's amazing.
To me, I don't think of Cardboard as a VR experience. I think of it as a way to view 360-degree videos, which I don't think of as.
I mean, there's a couple games.
I don't think of that as
great,
VR.
Yeah.
I've tried all three. But only briefly, and I can tell you that my experience with the Oculus, it was with the first developer kit. It was not with the more recent incarnation. And all I was doing was walking through a virtual Italian villa and feeling incredibly nauseated.
The new, so like I played with the original development kit, and I just got to play with the Rift at V8 twice, but I will say the games have matured, and they really show you now like what it'll be like. It's actually it's ridiculously fun. So like one of the games that was super hard that I didn't even get, I had like 2 20-minute sessions with the Rift. One of the games is a rock climbing game where you're a rock climber and you have to move your hands and look around and like things like that, and it's pretty good. It doesn't give you that like immersion moment that you're looking for, but it's definitely good. And the difference between the original dev kit and the Rift is significant. That like that change in resolution and power is crazy.
And being able to do better head tracking too.
Yeah. What did you play, Ayaz? You hate games.
Oh no, I was at CES and we had to do a bit. And so when I was using the Rift, it was just the basic demo thing. We were just setting up. They're like, "Do you want to use the Rift while we're setting up?" And I'm like, "Okay," because I never gotten to use it. And they just gave me the walkthrough of picking up objects and throwing things and exploding things. So it wasn't really a game. It was just experiencing this, and I was just amazed at how light the actual headset was because it looks bulky.
Yeah, the Rift is really comfortable. It's pretty comfortable.
It's exactly like it's way more comfortable than any other VR headset I've ever tried. There's only been like, if you even go back to the VR, you remember Virtual Boy stuff? Like
the Virtual Boy.
It's basically like you put your head in a VCR. That's what it felt like. But the Rift was so light. I liked that. I tried the VR at work, and it was just we had a video where I worked. Like, we did this 360 videos. Check it out. And tried it out. I'm like, this is pretty good. Also, I've heard a lot of complaints about overheating the phone within the casing of the VR,
and
to the point where
and I don't know how long the. Go ahead.
My friend actually attached an actual fan to it. He glued it onto his old spare phone, and
little
he powers it.
kludgy.
Well, hey, look, it actually keeps it cool. So that's not a good.
I did a 30-minute session. I was playing a game by myself with the Gear VR, and I did about like 30 minutes. And 30 minutes was like to the point where, actually like 20 minutes was to the point where I was uncomfortable enough that I'm like, I want to take this off. And 30 minutes was, no, this sucks. I'm taking it off. My eyes hurt. But yeah, I see that being less the case with the Oculus just because of how comfortable it is. I'm kind of interested in the Sony one at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Because, sorry. And the main reason is because I almost, like, yesterday I looked at the trade-in value for, like, my Xbox One because I don't have many games for it, and I'm not super attached to it. But I thought about getting a PS4 just because the PS4 can drive, Sony's VR headset, and it's only $400, which, like, if I got an Oculus,
you'd have to have a $1,300 machine,
and I have to have a $1,300 machine. So it's. So just getting a PS4, which I'll use anyway, because right now my Xbox One is a Fallout machine and our video streaming machine. So swapping it with a PS4 is not a big deal.
Well, I hear that the HTC Vive, the neatest experience you can have with that, is that because of the way the lighthouse sensors work. You set up two lighthouse sensors that that scan your physical environment that you are in. It can actually give you a visual representation of where the controllers are while you're wearing the headset. And the thing I keep hearing from people is that when they did a demo, they'd already have the headset on. They'd be looking at the virtual representation of their environment. A representative would hold out a controller that would be represented in the virtual environment as something and say, here, take this. And you would just naturally reach out and take it. And they said, guess what? You just picked up a physical object while looking at a virtual representation of it. And that's a pretty cool thing.
The way the Vive environment works, I'm really excited about. Oculus is kind of doing the same thing. But the Vive is, I like where they're going with the way the sensors are implemented. So the other cool thing about F8 was the end of day 2's keynote was by the Oculus guys, which was super interesting because they were talking about how, as they were talking about presence, right? So presence, if two of us are in virtual reality, it's really hard to establish presence, right? Because humans, we assume a lot of the actions another human's going to take. So like when you walk out and shake somebody's hand or something like that, we assume a lot of that action, and the delay that's implemented over the internet or over VR doesn't allow us to make those assumptions as quickly. So what Oculus is working on, one of their big projects, is analyzing those experiences so that they can assume what a person is doing and then play that in virtual reality as fast as possible. So that your human assumptions about what the other person is doing is actually correct, so that you can make that assumption even though they're making all those assumptions for you. And they showed a lot of really cool videos about how they have this giant 360-degree chamber of people playing mafia games or lying games with each other, just so they can try to figure out what is that element that all of us pick up on that we know that person's lying, but we don't know why. We just know it. And so they're doing a lot of research into how do we know that? What is it that we're picking up on that the computers aren't picking up on, or the sensors aren't picking up on? What is that intuition that we have about how something is going? So it's super interesting. The Oculus guys are super interesting to hear talk about all the weird issues they deal with presence in VR. Yeah.
I definitely look forward to them being able to predict that stuff, because finally I'll be able to have a virtual representation of me that's just constantly crotch chopping, and I don't have to do it myself.
Yeah, that or one that's just it rolls its eyes before I even think about it. It's just faster.
Well,
I don't want to waste my muscle movement.
Now that we've got the VR discussion out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about this week's movie, Burying the X. First of all, I guess we need to explain what we do on this show.
We don't talk about VR on this show. Wait, hang on. We don't talk about F8 conferences. That never happens. That was the most substantive this show has been in like 100 episodes.
Bullshit. Last week you and I had a substantive discussion about WWE wrestling.
Do not get fooled by this episode. This is not a proper.
If you're a first-time listener, please go back. You'll be disappointed.
But I would argue that the variety we present on this show is what got us called the best podcast of 2014.
It's exactly what did. We should talk about what we're going to talk about, which is not what we're going
to. One thing I suggested that we do more than 100 episodes ago now is to watch really shitty movies with no distractions present, no second screen, nothing like that, to see how long we can pay our full undivided attention to something. Since today we usually have at least a second screen, if not a third or fourth. And we've had varying degrees of success with various awful movies. And since next week's episode is episode 150, we will be revisiting the movie that I think, unless I've totally misjudged how bad Burying the X was, according to you guys, I think we can still safely say Rock and Roll Frankenstein is still the worst movie we've ever watched, with a possible close second place to Saving Christmas. And so this week we watched Burying the X. First thing I want to say, before we break down what the film was, is that in 1984, a director named Joe Dante directed an amazing comedic horror movie called Gremlins. And 30 years later, he directed this piece of shit.
Oh, that explains why that dude was in it.
Yeah, the sheriff or the cop in this movie. There's a cop, an old cop, and it's played by the same guy who was the cranky Vietnam vet next door neighbor character in the Gremlins films. So, yeah, let's talk about Burying the X. Who wants to describe what the plot? Well, first of all, how far did you get into the film before you welcomed any distractions? Eric?
I wrote that down. Hold on. 4 minutes and 28 seconds.
4 minutes, 28 seconds. Not even a full 5 minutes.
4 minutes, 28 seconds. Nope.
So at 14 minutes, I checked the time. I didn't give in until 20 minutes and 18 seconds. That's when I went to a second screen.
Brand new record for Jonathan Strickland, 0 seconds. This is... To be fair, though, Ayaz has pulled this shit multiple times, so I feel all right about it. No, in this case, I got home, looked at the time, at how little time I had between seeing the movie and this show. I literally finished watching the movie 5 minutes before we started this call. I hadn't eaten yet, so I had to do dinner as well. So I was like, well, screw it. I'll just start the movie. It'll be on. And I'll have to do these other things, so I will not be paying my full attention. So at no point did I dedicate my full attention to this film. And I feel all right about that.
Yeah, that's probably very acceptable. That's why I made it 4 minutes and 28 seconds in, because I was at about that time I realized, oh, this is just going to be boring. Like, not offensive, not shitty enough for me to care about it. Yeah, just boring.
Part of the problem is that if you read up about this movie, or if you go to IMDb and look at it, you'll find out that there was the guy who wrote it originally wrote a 15-minute short film with the same premise.
Oh, that makes sense.
Exactly, because this is an hour-and-a-half long movie that feels like a 15-minute idea stretched into an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But the basic idea is that this guy is not married to. This guy is dating a girl, and he feels like she's not the right person for multiple reasons, largely because she comes across as a domineering and unpleasant person frequently, and then he is going to dump her And on the day he's going to dump her, she gets hit by a bus. But because of a freaky satanic genie lamp, where he had made a promise that he would be with it. Yeah, it is a bobblehead. Where a Satan bobblehead, Jersey Devil's bobblehead. He makes a promise that he will be with this woman forever, and that is what seals the deal, so that she comes back from the dead, even as he attempts to move on with his life and date somebody else. And then hilarity would ensue if this movie were remotely funny. This movie stars Chekhov from the recent Star Trek films as the main character. Mm-hmm. And the new girlfriend is played by someone who was in an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's where she was from.
Yeah, she played the rich girl that Charlie ends up stringing along in an episode. One of the best episodes of It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
And that's saying something because that show's great. And also a chick who was in Twilight as the ex-girlfriend.
But the one who can actually act.
Yeah.
Promote.
This was perplexing to me because Joe Dante has made a good film before, but it felt like anything he might have learned leading up to this movie, he somehow forgot. I mean, simple stuff like some gore effects were terrible, and you're like, you're Joe fucking Dante, man. You did Gremlins. How are these gore effects so bad? Anyway, dumb movie. Ayaz, did you take notes?
I have way too many notes. This movie doesn't deserve as many notes as I have.
I would like to hear them because I didn't take notes. And also, honestly, there's a long stretch in the middle of this movie that I literally did not see because I was in another room eating. Well, I could hear the movie, but I couldn't see it.
I don't see that's the thing about this movie. Nothing about it demanded your attention. Mm-hmm. And and I like Lifetime movies, and they're bland, but at least like there's betrayal and backstabbing or surprise twists or something. No. Anyway, if you want to hear these notes, Eric, do you have anything to say before I go on this long thing?
I don't. You could definitely go on your rant. I'm sorry for picking this one. It's
not even a rant. It's a description. Because I like to try to keep some attention. So laptop note taking, but full screen, so no notifications. Another shitty CGI intro. It's Chekhov from Star Trek. He's playing Max. He's playing opposite, not Jonah Hill, who is Travis. They're half brothers. Quote, from the same sack. That's a pretty good description about half brothers. Max is afraid of his girlfriend Evelyn. She makes him eat vegan and get rid of his non-hybrid car. She kicks out Travis and then asks for breakfast sex. Well, she's not all bad. Max drives a scooter, but like a Razor scooter, not like a Vespa scooter. He works at and opens up Bloody Mary's Boutique, with the pun BOOTIQUE, a Halloween store. He's working on his own similar shop called Max's Scare Shack. Max opens up a package with a devil figurine, the Satan genie, make any want, wish, or desire yours the evil way. Next line here, live green or blog hard is how Ev answers the phone. He pitches Ev on dressing up with the new costumes that came to the costume shop. She's up for it. They fool around in the store while The Exorcist plays. She's dressed as a nurse. She says the lighting in the building should be changed to CFLs and not incandescents. Ev doesn't care for the costume shop idea when you could do more with your life for Max. She's not entirely wrong. Max thinks it's about conquering your inner monster.
I just realized how much like these notes, when you take them in this style, is just like a fourth grader's book report, and that's so exciting.
To jump in here just for a second, where
go for
Max makes up this kind of bullshit answer about conquering your inner monster, and that's why he wants to have a creature shop, like a Halloween shop kind of thing. As soon as I didn't see this part, but as soon as I heard it, I'm like, this is total bullshit, and it's so stupid. This is the equivalent of the speech about on Christmas Day, my dad got dressed up as Santa Claus and came down the chimney and got stuck and died there from Gremlins. This is that moment. He could have just said, hey, there are a lot of very serious things in the world, and we should absolutely try to fix them. But in this process, it's also important that we engage our imaginations and sense of fun so that we don't become a big ass pain in the fucking butt like you are, Evelyn. Jesus Christ.
Seriously, okay. Horrible. Let's get to the apartment. Go on.
She was dead awful before she died.
Ev's backstory. She lost her mom and found Max. You brought me back to life. Shot of the Satan Genie. His eyes light up, and CG smoke appears when the couple promises to be together always and forever. Ev moves into Max's apartment, and now it's time to get ice cream and meet Alexander Daddario, whatever name it is. It is Alexander Daddario. Apparently, they go to an ice cream place that is horror-inspired. Ev doesn't like Ice Cream Girl and explains she's poisoning her customers, and Ev says, we're going to Pinkberry. Ev was mad at Max because he was flirting and says, go be with someone else who knows about discontinued breakfast cereals, because they bonded over breakfast cereals.
Now, we should also point out Max was not in any way flirting with Olivia, which is Alexandra Daddario's character name. He wasn't flirting with Olivia.
Way.
They were literally having a conversation about a discontinued cereal. So this was to establish the fact that Evelyn is particularly possessive and a little jealous.
It definitely when she had her freak out moment about that was definitely a very like, well, that escalated quickly kind of thing, because you're watching it and you're like, he wasn't really flirting with her. He was kind of being nice. They were geeking out over something they know.
Yeah, you very quickly realize that the way that the movie is presenting this is Max is mainly with Evelyn because Evelyn is attractive and likes to have freaky deaky sex frequently.
Right.
On to this. So Max comes home to find Ev crying, and she says, please don't be mad at me. I roll my eyes at this point. Max is back in the store. Bloody Marys. That's the story's in. Ev calls Max to visit home. She's got paint on her. He scoots on over. She's painted the entire apartment lime green and redecorated. She asks, so, do you love it or do you love it? So Max wants to know where his posters are. She says they're in the drawer. She folded his posters. I have this in all caps. This makes Max upset. She trumps him with, it was my mother's birthday and I was just trying to do something fun. She walks away, locks herself in a room, and says, go away. All right.
I also said that because of the way Max's half-brother Travis treats him and the way Evelyn treats him, the movie should just be called Nobody Fucking Respects Max. Because that's... everyone just treats him like an afterthought in this film, except for Olivia, who it doesn't really have a character other than she's awkward and wants to bone Max. So,
yep.
That's about accurate. So Max visits Travis. Travis's place is pretty gross. Max is figuring out a way to break up with Ev. 20 minutes, 18 seconds in, going to a second screen. Max's plan is to break up with Ev at the dog park because it's a public place per Travis's idea. And Ev gets hit by a bus running over to Max. She bounces many feet. She says she doesn't want to die. And considering the premise, I'm pretty sure she's coming back. And she's dead. Depressed Max time, we see a plant on a coffee table die to show the passage of time. He's got beer, Chinese food, and pizza boxes on the table. This is making me hungry. Max blames himself for Ev's death and then goes to the movies. Here, he'll run into the ice cream girl, and it happens almost exactly after I type that. So it's right. Because this movie's predictable, if nothing else. She yells after him.
There's also only 4 main characters in this movie. So really, it was either his half-brother or the ice cream girl because it was too early for Evelyn to come back from the dead.
Well, you know what? Maybe they would have done that. If this is a really bad movie, she would just come out of the theater. Just holding his hand.
But she wouldn't be caught dead in that theater, so.
Moving on. That's very good. She yells after him, Fruit Brute, because that's the discontinued cereal. She says, you don't remember me? I have here in big caps, ha, 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 ha. Like, he's not going to remember her, because she's like the other character. Her name is Olivia. She complains that her old boyfriend wouldn't have sex with her. She tells Max a story where she got naked and said to the guy, you either pick Jesus or me. They then formed a Christian rock band called the Christian Slaters. The guy left.
And they opened for Saving Christmas.
Also, to be perfectly honest, there has to be a rock band named the Christian Slaters. That has to have happened.
If it should happen. If it didn't happen, it should happen.
Yeah.
All right, so Max and Olivia go to the cemetery, the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. They run by Ev's grave, and Ev comes out looking pretty good for someone who broke through her own coffin in 6 feet of dirt. I mean, she's like no dirt in her hair. So then Max and Olivia make out.
Not bad. She actually looks worse when she gets to his apartment.
Yeah, she's got a
little. Because there's a scene when she comes out, but she's dirtier when she gets to the apartment.
All right, so Max and Olivia make out. The date ends. Ev knocks on the door. Max opens and then shuts the door. Ev is back, and she's quote, "Our love has been given a second chance," and is about to take off Max's pants. That's not what she said, but that's the line. She threatens to kill Max if he moved on from her. She says she's just screwing with Max. Max asks Ev to take a shower because she's been dead a long time. 35 minutes.
Here's something that bears talking about. People seem remarkably blasé about the fact that Evelyn has come back from the dead. Like, every time a character discovers that Evelyn really is back from the dead, no one totally loses their shit. Ever in this movie. And it starts with Max, who is surprised to see her, but not like gibberingly, droolingly crazy, like, how the fuck did this happen? More like, well, this is really fucking inconvenient because the girlfriend that I never actually managed to break up with is back, and I just ended up going on a date with a totally different girl. Man, it's like a Three's Company episode with a zombie.
And by the way, Ev is not exactly weirded out by the fact that she's back from the dead. She's very excited to be alive, but doesn't ask any of the questions I think any of us would have done of, like, how does this work? Do I don't have to pay taxes anymore because I'm dead, right? Like, and then you think about this kind of stuff before you move on. But
right, am I constantly rotting? Am I still going through decay?
Should I have the apartment AC on all the whole time? Like,
right?
There's some practical shit you got to think about.
We do eventually find out that she is, in fact, still rotting. But, of course, at this point, we didn't know that yet.
Right.
Yeah, because she looks really good. She looks like she's been bruised a little bit. So let's see. Max asks her to take a shower. I have here a note, 35 minutes, 30 seconds in. Olivia knocks on the door, and she's up. Olivia knocks on the... So far, that's this movie, because it's like, it's not interesting. Olivia knocks on the door, and she's up for sex now. Max has to turn her away because Ev's in the shower. Ev's out of the shower, and she's gunning for sex. She's slipped and broken her neck. And then Ev fixes it. And Ev threw up embalming fluid all over Max. I think this is supposed to get us to laugh.
Yeah.
It was not that good.
No.
The next day, Max wakes up thinking he had a nightmare, but no, she's still trying to have sex with Max. Ev is quite okay with being dead and coming back. Max breaks the Satan genie by accident in the store. Then he finds a book to get rid of the undead. Ev then has the idea to kill Max so they can be together forever. You know, this is actually pretty good logic. They go to a club where girls are impressed with how goth Ev looks. I have a question here. Can the dead get drunk? Ev then does 3 double shots of absinthe. She can also flash her eyes red like Teen Wolf when she's angry. Yep, she's drunk. She throws up in an alley and then they run into Olivia. Olivia's friends make fun of Max. This is the guy you've been crushing on? Then they laugh. Wow. That sort of happened to me in college, by the way. True story.
So
Ev drinks.
So wait. True story. In college, you were standing in an alleyway while your dead girlfriend was puking her guts out, and this girl that you were interested in shows up, and her 2 friends were making fun of you.
Well, not all of what you said. That's what it sort of happened, because
you said this happened to me.
Oh no, just the girls making fun of the girl. For
girls making fun of you. Yeah, no, that's totally unbelievable. I buy that 100%.
I was just trying to get some pepper into this fucking awfully bland review. This movie's so dull.
One other thing, though, did either of you find it unusual that the ex-girlfriend came up with this idea of killing him, and that somehow that would mean he would come back from the dead too? Because there's nothing at all that's happened in this movie to suggest she has this ability to turn people into zombies. It's not even really established that she's a zombie. She is an undead of some sort, but there's nothing to indicate that she would actually be capable of turning someone who is currently alive into someone who is undead. So it's really weird. And it's particularly weird because she starts that conversation saying, "You're going to get old and you're going to die, and then I'll lose you." but if I kill you, we can be together. And I'm like, wait a minute, you just said if he dies, you lose him, but then you say if I kill you, we'll be together, and there's no establishing bit of information that you are capable of turning him into undead too. This doesn't make any sense.
There's no logic to this, right? Because if the bobblehead brought her back because he said they were supposed to be together forever, and the bobblehead was like, aha, gotcha on this one, then sure, I guess he got him. But the fact that she's constantly still decaying means that eventually, no. But then eventually, yes, he'll die at some point, assuming that happens. So, I don't get the bobblehead's angle at this point. Like, what's he doing?
Well, he was laying in pieces on the floor of the shop. He got broken.
Maybe she wouldn't have rotted as much if the genie doesn't get broken. Is that what we're talking about then?
No, because if that were the case, then the spell itself would have somehow been broken, and they could have gotten rid of the ex-girlfriend more easily.
I've watched enough Twilight Zone episodes to know that anything that has to do with Satan gets really, really bogged down with details and technicalities. So I don't know if that's what they were using, this concept that, hey, maybe she wouldn't rot as much, but it's assumed in this world that, yeah, there can be zombies. Like you said, nobody's freaked out that these people come back. If you start questioning the logic of this movie, you could start at, like, why he rides a scooter. And why the hell would you work in a Halloween shop? A Halloween shop only operates for, like, 2 months a year. And
hey, he was trying to open his own Halloween shop. So, like, he was just getting experience.
And it could have been like a costume/magic shop type deal too, because there are a couple of those in Atlanta that are open year round.
Well, that is not the best business plan. And then he wants to go in with the ice cream girl. This is not sustainable stuff.
Fuck you, Ayaz. It's totally sustainable. That fucking ice cream shop had a monster theme to it. This town has a hard-on for monsters. All the fucking movie houses are showing goddamn monster movies from the fucking 1950s. I think if you open up a Halloween shop in this town, you have gotten on the gravy train for fucking life, my friend.
You've reached an actual pitch that I can't even argue with this, because it's reached like Seinfeld levels of height in your vocal cords.
It's kind of like the Nightmare Before Christmas town in real life. We're just in one of those universes.
But nobody else in the town seems to be as obsessed with this. Okay, even the goth girls at the club, they're not really like Halloween people. They're actually pointing out this person's dressed as a goth. Not like, oh, cool Halloween costume.
They are in a town where the club is called Club Death, and it's 2014. This is the perfect town for you to open up your small, independent Halloween shop business year-round.
Okay, fine. You can go ahead and put your money into the crematorium as it becomes known, and that's a good name. It's the best joke in the entire movie, and I ruined it right now. All right.
Yeah, where are we? Yeah, we've got about 45 minutes before we get to that joke in the film.
All right, screw it. Like, let's see, this guy's crushing on. Yeah, they made fun of the girl. Max's kiss, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Ev drinks a lot, falls asleep. Max kisses Ev's forehead, then spits out a bad taste. Next day, Ev's making breakfast. She's pitching the let's be dead together thing. Max attempts to break up with Ev. It doesn't go well. Now Max is at work, and Olivia pops by with burgers. Ev calls and scratches away some skin from her face. She tries to get Max to say, I love you, while Olivia's there. Max then plans to behead Ev. Cut to Max scooting to Travis, and he hands back a clean machete. Travis agrees to kill Ev. It backfires, and Ev begins to chomp on Travis's head. Meanwhile, Max and Olivia are making out the cemetery at a showing of a movie. Olivia nibbles Max's ear. Ev rips off Travis's ear. Ev then starts eating Travis. That was pretty clever.
So Evelyn and Travis, just for the record, are at Max's apartment. They're not in the graveyard with Olivia and Max.
Yeah, that's right. So thank you for that clarification.
That'd be a really weird double date.
A new day. Olivia and Max wake up together in the car. Olivia says it was worth the wait. Aw. Max goes home and finds Evelyn, who's looking more dead than ever. Contact lenses are whitish at this point. Max isn't too happy with Travis being eaten. He asks for a bath to be ran before he is killed, because that's what he's going to do now. Max looks around for something, moves a dresser in front of the bathroom door. Max calls 911 and then proceeds to tell them the truth. instead of just saying that somebody is dead here. Then Max leaves on his scooter. Ev then hunts down Olivia. Max tries to convince a cop of the truth again. This is the guy from Gremlins. Max comes home to find Olivia tied up. Ev and Max talk. Max wants to break up. Ev decides she wants him to die. He stops Ev from killing him by saying, "Not on the runner," because she is proceeding to bash his face in on top of a runner. And this runner is very important to Ev because it's not to be touched with shoes or some other stuff.
It's part of
it's
what
hypoallergenic. Yeah.
It's hypoallergenic, and it's what she put into the apartment when she did her big redecorating. So it's a callback to something that happened previously in the film.
All right, where are we? Let's see. Not on the runner, then she chokes Max. Olivia says to stab Ev in the brain. This is after Olivia throws a vase at Ev's back of her head. The thing shatters in a whole bunch of pieces. Of course, there's a piece large enough to be wielded as a dagger. So Olivia says stab her in the brain. He does it. She falls on top of him, and Ev is dead. Nope, Ev is back for more. Undead Travis stabs Ev with a machete, and then they bury Ev in the runner. Olivia is very understanding. She helps Max bury Ev and then kisses Max. It's a new day. Yes, it is. Burying the ex is a new malted flavor at the ice cream shop. Max's Scare Shack is open for business attached to the ice cream shop. Late on rent because he bought Olivia a box with a ring inside. Max and Olivia's crematorium. That's pretty good. That's the name of their combined shop. Travis, who is undead at this point, is the sign guy outside, so his zombie appearance isn't jarring. The end.
Yeah, so other point, did either of you think it was kind of random how Evelyn was killed? She just had a machete shoved through her, and somehow that was enough to kill her, but everything else wasn't enough to kill her?
Yeah. I mean,
that seems odd and arbitrary.
It seems like going back to what I was saying earlier. Anything that involves the devil, just the details are not worth discussing at this point.
You will be with each other forever unless his half brother shoves you through the torso with a machete.
And or if you create an undead thing, if the undead thing attempts to kill you, you should die immediately, as opposed to a living thing stabbing your brain. I mean, if Travis cuts the head off, I could see that being decent, because then maybe if there's some kind of functioning brain, which let's just imagine there's zombie physics that makes this work.
Why not? Yeah.
If the zombie brain can't get the signal to the body, you have incapacitated this thing, and you're good. And now you can at least move the body. You take the head, and either you burn it or whatever, but you just put it away. Where
zombie brain's just chilling, zombie braining by itself. Pretty much.
And maybe give it some fun puzzles to do with its eyes. I don't know what to do with a zombie head, but
give it an Oculus Rift.
There you go. and
then roll it down the hall.
Yeah, you're gonna need a Lazy Susan so it could actually turn.
Well, it's weird too, because I thought they were foreshadowing cutting off her head, because one of the other things that this movie does is it has tons and tons of visual references to other like classic horror movies. Most of them are actual, people are watching a classic horror movie in the film, and but some of them are more the characters making a reference. Like there's a bit with Olivia and Max in the graveyard where Olivia is saying, "They're coming to get you, Max," which is a reference to Night of the Living Dead with "They're coming to get you, Barbara." So there are a lot of references to this, to the point where I think it was almost Joe Dante saying, "Hey, I love good old classic horror movies, don't you?" Well, one of those classic horror movies that they referenced was The Thing That Wouldn't Die, or as MST3K called it, Jan in the Pan, in which a woman is decapitated and kept alive, and the way they do it is the actress is like in a table with her head poking out through a little pan and things holding against her head that are supposedly keeping her alive, and that's why they call her Jan in the Pan, and they have a shot of that in this movie, and I thought, oh, I bet they're going to decapitate the ex-girlfriend by the end, and this is a clever foreshadowing of that. Nope, it was just a movie that they wanted to put in there, like a reference they wanted in there for some reason. They also referenced Plan 9 from Outer Space. That was in the Bela Lugosi bit where he comes out of the house at the beginning that was a Plan 9 from outer space moment. And there are several others throughout the film, to the point where, again, I was thinking like this is just Joe Dante saying "I love you" to all these schlocky horror movies of the past.
I'm trying to make sense of the movie still, because now you got me thinking with that logical brain. Like, what is the deal with the devil?
Idea.
The devil's deal is that as long as they're in love, she will live forever. Now at the end, she knows Max doesn't love her anymore, so they're not in love, and now she's killable, much more killable. But she is then stabbed through the stomach and her brain and does not die. So when she was stabbed in the brain, she finally got the hint that maybe Max was really over her. She accepted the fact he was no longer in love with her. And then any other strike would kill her, because she was really reeling from the initial hit to the brain. I think that was like maybe a delayed death.
I don't know that you can call being stabbed in the brain taking the hint. might be a bit over the top for a hint there, Ayaz.
She's a little dense.
Yeah, this logic just has no place with this film. It clearly is exactly what you think it is. It's a 15-minute short film stretched to an hour and a half. And I'm sure as a 15-minute film, it was probably fun and entertaining, but as a feature-length film, it leaves a lot to be desired. And it is unfortunate, because I like Joe Dante's... I mean, I love Gremlins so much, but this is not Joe Dante's best work by far. Yeah, I mean, this movie you could easily skip, never watch it, and you'll live a long, happy life without it, because it's not like it's so terrible that you can really groan about it. It's just terribly forgettable, really. I got nothing else to say about that.
It's pretty bland.
Yeah.
Which is saying something. It's got a talented cast, I will say. It's got 4 people in it.
Yeah.
They're not bad. Okay.
They're not bad. I mean, the character of Travis is just ridiculously dumb. Yeah. I mean, you've got this slobby guy who lives in a garage and is bedding supermodels left and right somehow. And he's sort of a sitcom character, like the schlubby guy who just keeps landing super hot chicks. It's like a wish fulfillment type of character, and he's not particularly funny. He's just crass.
I assumed he was just paying all these women. We only see 3 in the whole movie, and
yeah,
I really do assume he's paying them.
Then why would he worry? Well, I guess he does say that he doesn't want them to know where he lives.
Yeah, that's a good reason, because if he doesn't pay them, that's a problem. I mean, like in the first scene, he's with 2 women and each of them have a boxing glove. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's I didn't like his character.
You missed
it.
I totally missed the boxing gloves, apparently.
When one of them wakes up, she's looking at the boxing glove as if to say, "How the hell did this get on me?"
And the other one is also wearing a boxing glove on the other hand. It's a different color, though. Yeah. Because I was trying to pay attention to this movie. I'm like, there's got to be something fun about this. Maybe it's going to get interesting, and maybe we're going to get somewhere. And like you said, Jonathan, 15 minutes, this would have been fine. Like, okay.
Yeah.
They have a little trouble. They're going to break up. She gets killed. He starts dating somebody else. And then they have to kind of deal with this undead ex, and she's not taking the hint. See, that sounds fine right there. That's totally fine. It's just the execution is just... Well, it's not 90 minutes.
If you've got an hour and a half, then you could do some other things that would have been maybe a little more interesting, like explain where the fuck that Satan statue came from. Like, who sent it to him? How did he get it? Because it's sent along with delivery orders for the shop. But this is a thing where he's like, I didn't order this. You never find out where it's from, how it got to him. who sent it, why was it sent.
Well,
you don't know any of that.
I mean, they're saving that for the sequel, which obviously is going to happen.
Well, thank God, because not since Thanksgiving have I seen a film and thought, Jesus, I really need to see a follow-up to this.
It'll be called Bloody Mary's Revenge, because she obviously ordered it. It's her shop. All right. So she ordered this thing for some weird reason. She also has these books for the undead just sitting around. They were covered in dust, which makes it seem like they weren't for sale, because I would assume you would dust the objects. Then again, Max is kind of a shitty employee, so what's the difference?
Well, it may have been that they were there to provide ambience.
You still dust. Magic or not,
the dust is ambience.
I mean, yeah.
If you're running a fucking like
you don't clean up the cobwebs, you leave them there.
Yeah. That just adds to the flair.
Okay, I'll go with that logic. That's the case.
Yeah.
That book is there, it has no ulterior motive, and also the actual, not potion, but whatever, like powder he comes up with from the book, it doesn't work anyway. It doesn't kill this woman.
No, which I did like affects her though, which is really weird. He's following the directions in this one book, which, by the way, his following of directions essentially consists of him randomly turning to different pages, putting his finger in the middle of the page, which has absolutely nothing connected to what the list he's making. But he makes up a list of ingredients that he's supposed to mix together, and that is supposed to be enough to repel the unwanted undead. And it has an effect on his ex-girlfriend, but it is purely momentary, and it doesn't make her go away. It just makes her eyeballs do weird stuff.
So, sorry, I just got a dumb tweet right now.
I think I might have gotten the same one.
he also, the other thing is that Max bothers to have some kind of Latin thing he says before he blows this into her face, and it's just kind of, I guess you're right, there could have been a lot of explanation. If they took the witch character from Robin Hood, Ghost of Sherwood Forest, and they made her Mary, I think we would have gotten somewhere in this movie. All right? She's weird, she's old, she lives in a tree or a cave or wherever the hell she was. And then you move it along with that, because let's say she is an actual witch and she knew this would happen, and she wanted Max to know a lesson because Max has no spine. But who knows?
So all three of us got that tweet.
It's a good tweet.
Happened. He tagged everybody, of course. Yeah. And the show.
Yeah. This was yet another attempt by Eric Sandine to make us reconsider the fact that we do this for this show.
I'm trying really hard.
To be fair, this wasn't a film specifically made for families or kids. So at least we have that.
The kids' movies were way more entertaining. Thunder in the House of Magic, that was actually entertaining.
Thunder in the it was all right. I was okay with it.
Compared to this bland thing, you actually had like two things trying to team up to take out the cat. Anyway, I'm not going to defend other movies, and we're not going to rank these movies, because next week we've got Rock and Roll Frankenstein, which I'm sure you guys are not going to watch.
No, I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
Andor,
I'm gonna watch it, will be and I'm gonna have to watch the commentary.
6 weeks.
Not only am I going to watch this goddamn monstrosity of a fucking film, this movie that was like the second or third thing we ever watched for this show and has stood the test of time as being the most loathsome of all the things we've watched. Not only am I going to watch it again, not only am I going to watch it 2 times so I can watch it with a commentary the second time, I'm going to have to figure out time to do it after work or after I've worked a full day at the Renaissance Festival. So I'm never going to be able to watch it with like a full constitution. I'm always going to be worn down before I even start. So that's terrifying.
Okay. So I guess it's time. Look into the future. Before we look into the future, go to gfqnetwork.com or bestpodcastof2014.com or podcastwithoutpretense.com if you want to like watch or listen to older episodes. And if you want to do that, you won't hear much about VR. You might hear a little bit about wrestling, and you will hear us talk about Rock and Roll Frankenstein. If there was a supercut of us saying Rock and Roll Frankenstein, I bet it would last about 2 hours. Because we mention that thing all the time. Anyway.
This is true.
Next time on Podcast Without Pretense.
I watched it 3 times, and now I can smell toast.
Did you know that there was actually a Spanish encoded audio track? It was so interesting to hear, like, Viva Frankenstein!
Joss Whedon did the commentary? Like, what? Why? What happened? Like, why?